Hello everybody, today I'll be sharing with you a valuable life lesson that I have learned from watching an episode of the Avatar The Last Airbender, episode 16, The Deserter. I will be showing you the scene from which I have learned this lesson from, and after I show you the scene, I will be summarizing the scene and the valuable lesson that I have learned. Yep.
What are you doing here? I did not tell you to stop.
I've been breathing for hours.
You want to stop breathing?
I want you to stop wasting my time. I already know how to squat and breathe and feel the sun. I want to know how to shoot fire out of my fingertips.
I had a pupil once who had no interest in learning discipline. He was only concerned with the power of fire, how he could use it to destroy his opponents and wipe out the obstacles in his path. But fire is a horrible burden to bear. Its nature is to consume, and without control, it destroys everything around it. Learn restraint, or risk destroying yourself and everything you love.
So before I share with you what I have learned, I asked of you to please share with us, the viewers, and myself, what did you learn? Did you find this wisdom valuable? And if you are going to apply it in your life, or what's your perspective on the message that was shared with us today by Jianzhang, the Deserter? So if you haven't watched the episode, Aang is looking for a firebending master to teach him firebending. So in the scene, Aang is yelling, commanding his master, instructor, Jianzhang, to stop wasting his time. He thinks Jianzhang is wasting his time by teaching him the discipline, by teaching him the principles, by teaching him safety first, the basics, the things you must first learn in order to move on to the next steps. He feels that he is wasting his time by teaching him those things. But Jianzhang thinks he is being impatient, that the road he's headed could cause disastrous results to himself and the ones he loves. For example, he relates him to one of his old pupils, one of his old students, and he says, "I once had a pupil who was not interested in discipline. He was only concerned with the power of firebending." But he says, without control, everything around it, without control, you risk destroying yourself and everything around it. He says that his old student was only concerned with power, and he wasn't concerned with the rest. He just wanted to destroy his opponents, and that's the only thing he focused on. It didn't matter if he obstructed or hurt others in order to accomplish his mission or get what he wants. So that's the example he gives, and then he tells Aang, learn restraint or risk destroying yourself and everything you love. Damn! That's some pretty tough, deep advice, right? Or what do you guys think? Like, in my opinion, that's pretty deep. It's just like, wow, like, whoa, like it's pretty huge. You get me? Like, to be told that or be given that advice, or because you're going through a certain situation, that means you're going through some pretty deep stuff, I believe or think. Now, why do I consider this a valuable lesson? Let's repeat the quote. Learn restraint or risk destroying learn restraint or risk destroying yourself and everything you love. Learn restraint or risk destroying yourself and everything you love. Now that to me means like two things. It means before you learn something that gives you a lot of power, the first things you must learn are the basics, like the safety first, discipline, the principles before you move on. For example, how we saw in the scene, Jianja gave it to Aang because he was going to be given great power, and with firebending, if not controlled well, as he said, could be a burden, because you could regret you could regret what you do with that power if you are not aware of how you use it. So use it wisely. And like our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man once said, with great power comes great responsibility. So to me that's what it means. Like, if you're going to learn something that gives you great power, be aware that if you don't use it wisely, you could hurt yourself and others around you. For example, if you ever learned self-defense, martial arts, or whatever type of combat you learn, I hope your instructor, your teacher, your master taught you that you shouldn't bully others with what you're learning, that you're only gonna use it for self-defense. Because if you go out there to bully others or to abuse people with your power, you've been given this power and you're abusing it you're abusing it in a way that might be harmful to yourself and others. That's not a good example. It is. So let's say before you give you the power, the knowledge, the skills of fighting, you have to learn the principles first, like when to use them and when not to use them, and be aware that if you hurt or break somebody's leg, the consequences that come with that, the consequences that may come with that. And another example, let's say when you first start driving a car. When you're driving a car, you are first taught how to drive the car, when to make a left, when to make a right, when to go, and etc. And the reasons why we have been given these rules and these boundaries is because if we all drive like crazy, if we all drive unorganized, we might hurt and run over a lot of living things. And we could hurt them, their families, and ourselves by doing the damage. Another example could be probably one of the best ones is if you're old enough to own a firearm license, you're aware that you must first learn the basics, how to handle a firearm, when to use it, when to have your finger on the trigger, where to aim at, when to have it loaded, and when not to have it loaded. Because you're giving great power, you have power to end life. Same with the car, same with self-defense. You have power to end somebody's life and yourself if you're not careful. Like, you are giving great power, and if you are not careful in how you use this power, you could hurt yourself and others. You could hurt yourself by doing the damage to other people and you're unaware of it, and you could also do the damage to yourself by actually hurting yourself physically. And what this also means to me is what the learn restraint or risk destroying yourself and what you love and everything you love also applies. The way I see it is like if you are abusing something. For example, if his pupil was abusing the fire bending, and he didn't care what was in his path, as long as he got what he wanted. So let's say you have an unhealthy eating problem. Let's say you like to eat a lot of junk food, and you haven't learned restraint. So because of that, you now have some type of disease or sickness that is hurting yourself. So maybe backing off on eating junk food, learning restraint might be the solution to if you consider it a problem. Also, let's say if you're abusing a substance, alcohol, if you're abusing alcohol, if you're abusing other substances, you might be hurting yourself and doing harm to the ones you love. You might not see it because you're just focused on what you're doing. Like you're just focused on the substance, and you're not aware that you're hurting. By hurting yourself, you're hurting others. By hurting yourself, you're hurting those that care about you. And in a way, you might not be aware of it, but if you ever have people, if you ever seen people, many people have this problem and you could relate to. So learning restraint could be applied to many in many areas of your life. Even learning restraint, like too much of a good thing can also be bad. Like if you drink too much water, you could die. That's what they say. You could die from drinking too much water. You get me? So by asking yourself once in a while, reminding yourself like once a month, or just reminding yourself, are you abusing a certain substance or any area of your life? Maybe reflect on it and see if you're hurting yourself and others. Learn restraint or risk destroying yourself and everything you love. So by applying this wisdom to your life once in a while, you may free yourself from certain burdens. And these examples that we're just giving are just examples. If you have ever, and it could be any area of power, especially people who have power over an immense population of people, or power over a few people. Power is power, and if you're unaware of how you use it, you could hurt yourself and others by abusing, by overdoing things, and just by not being aware of those things. So ask yourself, are you abusing something? Are you abusing something in any area of your life that you might be hurting yourself and others? And if you are, maybe you can try changing those things. Or if you're not aware of any, maybe ask a close friend or family member or somebody you trust and you don't feel that will hurt your judgment, that they won't hurt you by judgment or your personality. Somebody you trust as a friend, somebody close. So this is what I think. This is what I thought of this life lesson that I have learned. Learn restraint or risk destroying yourself and everything you love. And if you found this video helpful, please share with somebody that might benefit from learning these things, from learning this. Or if you wish, or if not, just watch the whole episode. Episode 16, The Deserter from the Avatar The Last Airbender. And yeah, and if you wish to gain more wisdom, I guarantee if you watch the whole episode, you are going to learn more. So that's pretty much it. All I ask of you is to please share the story. Thank you.